Hi, I'm Suki. Welcome to Getting Psychic, where you can listen to me use myself to test the theory that anyone can get psychic. Hello and welcome to Getting Psychic. I'm your host Suki, and I'm here today with Lizzie Hart, a holistic coach and guide, dream worker, and lineage tender whose work helps people reconnect with the deep intelligence of the psyche and the living earth. Through dream work, true mirror sessions, and group circles, Lizzie guides others in remembering that they are cyclic, creative beings capable of healing, renewal, and transformation through relationships with their inner world. Welcome, Lizzie.
Oh, thank you. That was great.
Do, do you approve of this message?
I approve of this message. It's like, yeah, it's I can't argue with any of that reflection about what I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I can hear some parts of what I be underneath that, and also it gives me a little bit of like a nerve in my tummy because I want to also explode everything that, yeah, anything that could be like like some kind of an identity or something like that, you know? But
Mhm.
can I say one thing that just at that last part reminded me of is, I saw a bumper sticker the other day that said, "Ask me about my rich inner life."
Beautiful. Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing that no one's doing.
Yeah, totally.
Can you imagine if that were a practice
Mhm.
instead of just weird surface shit? Okay. In your own words, will you please describe what you do for your clients?
I work with all kinds of people one-on-one. I also work with couples. And yeah, coaching, the word coaching is a word that I've used for like 10 years because it's kind of a catch-all and people understand that I'm going to like guide you in some way or support you in some way, but I've never really understood what coaching means because it's not like a program or a paradigm. It's not like I'm overlaying some kind of system to help you to be more of who you are. I'm more just like meeting a person where they are and listening with my whole body, being listening from so much more than just my thinking mind, and
Mhm.
then responding in ways that intuitively I can trust. And so sometimes we're going into dreams as a source of material. Sometimes we're going into the body as a source of material, but whatever it is, there's material.
There's going to be material.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Coach is really tricky. I was like coach and guide
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's so many. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this. There's so many underqualified individuals who call themselves coaches. Especially now, it's been like a explosion. And it's like let your knowledge settle in a little bit before you spin it around and try to
Mhm.
save people. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. I like that 2 cents.
Okay, so, well, I wanna dig into the all of the different I wanna open up all of the doors that are sort of in the room that is your work. But I guess first, can we start maybe from the beginning and, like, how did you end up like this?
That's such a great question. Probably a combination of just coming out like this and then also it being nurtured in some ways. Of course, like coming out into this world that we all come out into, it's like there's plenty in this sort of social paradigm and in our families that can suppress um, who we are. But I think I had a good amount of nurturance of my relational nature, I
Yeah,
guess. And
yeah.
also like the part of me that's like sort of just naturally animist, that's like in relationship with everything because everything is alive.
Mhm.
Like I definitely have memories of like doing little oracular things when I was a kiddo. Maybe you do too. I don't know. Like sort of counting leaves, counting sticks, counting steps, counting different things, and making meaning of through my questions or something like that. Like whatever sort of question my little child self was with, there was always something like in the living world or in my environment that could kind of like point to it and form some meaning so that I could go, oh, I get it now,
Hmm.
and so I think that that's just like kind of listening. But I don't know. I'm also a Waldorf. I went to Waldorf. And so Waldorf really nurtures like the everything is alive kind of paradigm in children. And I think that that opened up a lot. Even
Yeah,
though I was only there for a couple of years, I think it made a lot of who I became as a grown up.
that's beautiful. Jealous. I'm jealous.
Yeah,
You also got to grow up in New Mexico, which I
totally.
think happens to be an exceptional place
Hmm.
for things like this.
Hmm.
Like I go there and everyone's just like seems to be tuned into a different frequency. What do you think about that?
Well, lots of things. I mean, also it's, one's hometown or one's place of origin. It's like it's a little bit harder to see it from an objective perspective. And there's like so much complexity in all of the layers here, especially everything that I'm like identified with or have made part of my person over the years. But Santa Fe is, well, the first is that big sky, unbelievable sky, as you know, right? And so I think sky is kind of like the conduit here. I
Mhm.
go visit my people in Northern California where it's like waterways and creeks and streams and rivers. I'll get much more into like a consciousness that is sort of informed by my waters and the waters. And I can get much more in touch with like uh, corresponding threads of my emotional field or something like this. Whereas
Mhm.
in Santa Fe, I feel like air is the conduit, sky is the conduit. It helps one to zoom out and see a lot about like thinking, perceiving, seeing. Um, and then like culturally, there's a lot that we haven't worked out and need to work out. And there are a lot of layers of sort of like land filled, like I mean cemented underground eh, shit that needs to be like taken care of here on a societal level. But at the same time, there's something about like its intactness. It's like it's spiritually intact in a way that draws
Mhm.
people to it. Does that make sense in your experience? I don't know. There's something intact that can be
Yeah.
felt here.
Yeah. Well, I can personally feel it. I always wonder if I know it's not just me, but I've heard that there's something about New Mexico and certain parts of New Mexico that are like a mirror. And if you can't handle looking at yourself, it's really hard to be there.
Hmm.
But I guess that aligns with your work because it seems like it's all about reflection
Mm. Hmm.
and
Mm.
sort of looking inward.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah.
Um, but personally, for me, I talked to an astrocartographer recently,
Yeah.
and she was like pointed that out as like a sweet spot for me.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm.
Like whenever I go there, wonderful things happen, like randomly meeting you.
Hmm. Yeah. You know what planet is what like planetary line? I don't know enough about astrocartography, but
I can't remember. It might be my son.
okay. Awesome.
But yeah, it's a crazy practice. Even if I like try to apply the little that I know about it, it's still very confusing because there's like intersecting lines and it's just like a different language. Um okay, so I want to talk about this with you for a sec before we really dig into your work, but as you know, this podcast is called Getting Psychic, and it's to me about that innate quality in humans and reconnecting with it. Is it possible, in your estimation, to be psychically gifted or tuned in, we'll say, but emotionally or spiritually unintegrated? And what does that look like? Like sort of being super psychic, yet never looking back
Hmm.
at yourself?
That's such a cool, interesting question. So, yeah, I have like my first hit, like what comes right away, and then a little bit more thought. So, like, I've been thinking, of course, about psychic in like the days leading up to meeting you here. I'm like, God, what does that mean for me? It's something more than like an intuitive nature or my intuitive nature or um so I think in a way, like the first thing that comes to my mind is absolutely yes, because I'm not sure that I believe in total integration, that because we are just like these psychic processes, right? We're this like incredible living psyche that is constantly sort of moving towards coherence and wanting that coherence, but also it's a project that is never finished, right? So all of us are emotionally and spiritually and psychologically shattered and fractured, I think, throughout our lives, and in moments there are forms of coherence where we get to like experience and feel our wholeness as we sort of like form and then unform and then form and then unform or something like this, right? But I was also thinking about, I oftentimes work with people who are working with psychedelic medicines, right? Typically, it's like they're working with medicines on their own and doing journey work, and I'm helping them to. I'm creating a frame, right? Preparation work and integration work. These are the terms that are sort of widely used right now for one's container of guidance for using psychedelics, but they're also,
I just like to say tripping balls.
yeah, tripping balls. Yeah, exactly. So those words like preparation and integration are like so pale for what the process is of saying, oh, I'm going to be more intentional about this and have somebody to witness me and feel me in it and hold me accountable and help me to bring it into my body and help me not to just to not just like go off planet with whatever comes through. So I was thinking about what psychedelic medicines do and what we now know, which is like pretty obvious to anybody who's, tripped balls throughout their lives, um, is that it's like, it's not like that medicine just like puts some other like alien consciousness well, okay, that's kind of funny, into you. In some of those plant medicines, yeah, it's like a collaboration with an actual like animate, well, in all the medicines it's a collaboration with something animate, but at the same time, what happens on a neurological level is that it softens or turns off all of the cognitive filters that we have naturally, and those cognitive filters could maybe be synonymous with ego structure, right? So they could be the biological form of an ego, which is there to create like scaffolding so that we can live in this world and go to the computer and click on the thing and meet the person and operate in this world without like totally dissolving into the everything of it. So behind those structures is this whole other reality. Like behind those filters is this whole other reality. And so I don't think it takes like the addition of a substance to drop one's filters. All kinds of experiences help us to can help us to drop those filters and to see the world behind this world, or the totality or more of the world. And then I think, to your question, that some people might just, however consciously or unconsciously, maybe just like start to develop that capacity and trust it, believe in it, make relationship with it. And I think that that's at any, wherever someone is in their spiritual and emotional growth or development.
Yeah, I do think it's funny that it's a common perspective on psychedelics that it's like this substance
Hmm.
is just bringing this weird set of symptoms.
Hmm.
That's not exactly how it works. It's removing a filter.
Hmm. Exactly.
And it's not like I'm seeing the grid that connects all things because that's what mushrooms do.
Hmm.
Like I'm seeing it because it's a filter is taken away and that's actually real.
Yes.
God damn it.
Yes, like, and just as if you're in the particular case of mushrooms, yeah, it's not like I don't know if you've had these experiences, but mushrooms and nature or wilderness, man, there is no greater combination, right? Because it's like it's not my imagination that made those, dragonflies come into a beautiful constellated pattern right before me and come and kind of start to blink a pattern that I understood and speak to me and give me a message, right? And like feeling like it's looking right at me and delivering this message just for me. It's just not That's just not imagination. That's just what's happening behind the filter.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. So we were kind of talking about people who can maybe naturally or with the aid of other substances see beyond the filters,
Mhm.
but emotionally not look back, like look inward and kind of what that what that looks like. Like if I'm moving along this path and I'm like, I mean, I've said this a million times. I realize that in an effort to remove those filters for myself through this project, it's unending healing has been revealed,
Mhm.
sort of unendingly being forced to look back.
Mhm.
But I know that there are certain people who are just like, I'm psychic as fuck.
Mhm.
And I'm like really clairvoyant. And I was just wondering, sort of like, this may be a dead end question, really, but like, what are instances where, or circumstances under which people pursue psychic opening yet never look in a mirror?
Mm.
I just wanted to explore that for uh
Hmm.
it just came to me, so I don't know.
Great. I don't think it's a dead end question at all. I think it's a really, really generative question, especially for what's happening if it, especially for what's happening in psychedelics, right?
Mhm.
And this whole sort of, um, I don't even know what we call it right now. New interest in the mainstream, right? A revived interest in the mainstream and a
That's true,
revived
yeah.
hope or something like this, right?
Mhm.
I don't know exactly where to begin with your question, but my mind does go somewhere, which is that, yeah, no, I mean, in this world of psychedelics, so now you're looking around and there are people who are completely untethered in egomania, through with and through relationship with medicines, right? Like in this sense that it's like I'm healed, or let me heal you, or this is a silver bullet. This is the thing that will heal you, right? In fact, it's like here a great example is that it that reflects like the way that the overculture, and in that sense like the overculture that we've internalized, right? The dominant culture that lives within us, you know pharmaceutical companies want to take like psychedelic medicines, and they want to take away the journey element, right? So they want to be like, oh well, now you can just we've isolated the part that is healing, and we just want to give it to you like a pill, so you just wake up in the morning and do your regular thing and stay exactly as you are and take this pill and it will heal you, right? But what that doesn't take into account is that the journey is the healing part,
Mhm.
the arc of experience, the visit to the underworld, the struggle in the underworld, the death in the underworld, the feeling like when I'm in the underworld that I will never ever ever come out of this place, and how can I possibly, and what can I grab onto that can help me to start to emerge? Do I even need to emerge? What is this, right? And then the way that the system then surrenders at some point, and that's magic, and then rises back out in the arc of a journey. That's what's healing. And so is coming out of a place, and I guess this is where I'm thinking about it for those with the ability to see beyond those filters. So we see something that is more resplendent or more real than this day-to-day world, but how is it that we learn? I think it takes relationship with others and the development of maybe you would call it like emotional maturity, to bring it back to this world. Like, how do we bring something from that other place back here and anchor it so that
Mhm.
it becomes part of our world and so that others might be able to see it?
Yeah. Okay, in your own experience, why is a guide important in these journeys?
Mm. Well, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't important, right? I don't think I can say that everybody needs a guide. But because healing happens in relationship, and if someone can be around to be like to model healthy relationship, or just to like be a good witness and care about you while you're on your journey, I think that um, lends itself to that journey maybe being able to give more. And but all kinds of reasons, right? Somebody who can also track and be like, "Oh, that thing that was the most real thing you've ever experienced while you were, like, in that place, let's make sense of it. Let's pull on that thread and bring it out here to the topside world, the place where we all, like, have to live and interact with all of our filters, and let's find out how can we, like, anchor it? How can we integrate it? How can we make that part of your lived experience? How can we make it part of your body and your relationships in your day-to-day?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so since we just dove into talking, we didn't really explain your relationship with this work. So that's where we'll start with your work. How do you refer to the lifting substances?
I think we should call them psychedelics. I think
Okay,
we call
cool.
them psych
Some people don't love that,
I know,
and
yeah.
I'm quite down with that. So when you work as a guide with psychedelics in private or group settings, what is that like, and what are they?
Mhm. Well, I mean, to be most clear and humble about it, I have worked as a guide with medical providers who are providing ketamine assisted therapy to folks. And I will sit with them for a journey where a clinician gives them an injection of ketamine.
What is
Oh.
ketamine?
Ketamine is a uh, FDA approved dissociative anesthetic medication that is used in widely used all over the world as an anesthetic in medicine, in hospitals to anesthetize people. But at a particular dosing range, it also provides like a beautiful space to journey. And at some point, doctors and therapists and regular people sort of discovered that. And so now it's coming more into the mainstream and being used as for that purpose, to journey and explore beyond the filters.
Okay.
Mhm. There's lots of things I could say about it, but is that a pretty good description?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, great.
Mhm. Okay, so say more about how you work with it.
So yeah, like I said, I have worked with folks in a clinical setting, right, where I act as a guide and offer preparation work beforehand. So helping the psyche to prepare for change, and then sitting with the person in the space and providing largely a sort of, I want to say neutral, but it's more of like em- mm, hollowed out form of witness, right? So not a lot of intervention, not a lot of projection, hopefully, and just really sitting for the person. And then on the other side, offering support to integrate that experience. Some of the people that I work with now have a prescription for this medicine, so they were prescribed it by their doctor, and that's great for many people who are really struggling in different ways, both with chronic pain, really intense depression, crippling anxiety. Um, Ketamine can help. And I believe that the way that it can help the most when it's used in conjunction with someone supporting you through those experiences and used as taking the journey, right? So earlier I was saying that there's this paradigm in the big world, in the dominant culture, that wants to sort of take out the journey, like just pop that pill and see what happens, right? So I want to support people in seeing that they're in an arc of experience with it, right? And riding those waves and traveling that arc of experience with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to say about psychedelics before we move on? Also, I want to ask you in tandem, have you studied shamanic
I have
practices?
not, no.
Okay.
If I can just answer that briefly, it would be something like, I have not. I am so lucky to have been guided by some incredible people throughout my life since I was very young, being guided and held in really, really good ways, and not so good ways too, right? So there's been contrast, like, oh, that is not what we want, right?
Yeah.
But I've also been held in some incredible places, by some incredible hands, by some incredible people who really hold a lot of integrity. So nothing more to say about psychedelics. There's too much to
Okay.
say.
Yeah, there's too much to say. This would be a psychedelic podcast if we didn't stop. Okay. I'm going to read this to you.
Great,
You'll know where I got it.
great.
At the heart of this work are two fundamental guiding principles. As we excavate and compost unconscious material, we create nutrient to feed our vision for an equitable and healthy world. Number one. Number two, the transformation of our social systems relies on the healing and growth of the individuals who make up the systems. Each one of us is inextricably bound to the future of life on Earth. So I'm assuming you wrote that
I
because
did.
it's from your website.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah. Well done. I love it. So I love the thought of excavating and composting unconscious material to feed a healthy world.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. How does your work with people, coaching, guiding, draw that out?
Hmm. Great question. I'm also sitting, as you asked that question, I'm feeling very curious about what your experience is sort of in the world. I'd love to ask you after I answer a bit, but yeah, what your experience of the world is, how you feed the world with your as you're excavating your unconscious material, or you're connecting with what is below the surface of consciousness. I want to say, like, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is through dream work. So, like, I'll often encourage folks to write down their dreams. And if writing it doesn't feel good, then speaking their dreams out loud, or practicing starting to speak their dreams out loud. And especially like the mundane, random dreams that you might wake up from feeling like, oh, that was stupid and weird. Why was I dreaming that I was in that place or with that person last night? That was weird, right? Not like these,
Yeah.
like, big epic medicine dreams that are like, whoa, I was in a wonderland and all of this remarkable stuff happened. Those are great too. Let's write those down and work into them as well. But oftentimes, like, the most mundane dreams, or even like the snippets of dreams, just those little glimpses that we get and emerge with in the morning, are like an entire microcosm of what is happening in our psyche, and like a directional arrow pointing to what it is that we might need to see, to what nutrient our conscious life is missing,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, I could give examples, but what does that bring up for you?
Oh my God. It's so weird. I'm having like this sort of palpable sensory answer.
Great.
Like I am like, it's very earthy and like I'm kind of like experiencing wet soil, like earth,
Hmm.
um, sort of what is coming to me is that what I have decided to do here for the past 2.5 years, I think, yeah, is like a supplement.
Hmm.
Um, so like being open and unafraid to share what this process brings up for me has been, at the very least, very healing and nutrient dense for me.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. You brought what was inside of you to the outside and made it something real that other people could be in relationship with.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for making me do that, because like my response was very not in my brain.
Mhm.
It was like in my throat chakra, or, somewhere else. This was living on a different plane because I could taste the answer.
Mhm. Yes.
It
So
was unexpected.
yeah, it's unexpected. And so like something that comes to my mind is like I'm not going to jump in and try like I have an impulse because of the way that I work one to one with people, especially sometimes and oftentimes on a screen like this. I
Yeah.
can feel my impulse to like work with you on that, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm gonna I'm gonna bring that I'm gonna reel that in though because it's just like because we don't have like an agreement or containment or like a space. We haven't said like that's what's happening here, right? But I can say that what I might do, and this might answer your question a little bit or just open up or create more questions, is like what I might do is we might go into that throat space, right? And just like bring your attention and your awareness to it. We
Hmm.
might bring that image of like that loamy soil that came to you on like a sensory level. And we might like
Hmm.
dig into that and see what it really feels like and track it through the body and like find out where that sensation lives and then come into relationship with it and start to talk to it, and find out like what else does it have to say.
Yeah.
Then that image is something that you can then carry with you, right? Because you've made that relationship and you've strengthened that relationship with those parts of your body, with the particular sensation that's there. Maybe you're the kind of person who has a really, I think you are, like sort of active imaginal realm where there might be color there and a lot of texture and a whole personality of that, just that of that particular awareness, whatever it is, right? And so you
Hmm.
can take that with you. And one of the things that I like to do with folks with dreams, and this is not novel, this comes out of all kinds of traditions of dream tending, including like a Jungian approach to dream tending is that that when we have some kind of an image that we draw out of the body or the dreams or our imaginal realm, it can be really really powerful to then take that and use our conscious will to directly translate that into some form of art, some form of speech, something that is tangible to ourselves and others, some form of movement, even just writing it down. And or it's like something, then you might go and you might get like a little handful of some really yummy dark soil from your out of your garden and like shove it in your pocket that day, right? Or something. And then you're like walking around in your jeans and you can like feel that that is in your pocket. And so then it keeps bringing that relationship back and like kind of keeping you in that dialogue. And then we start to have a conversation that bridges conscious and the unconscious. And then we're in a dialogue.
Awesome. You know how before we started recording, I said I felt like it was really good timing to
Mhm.
do this interview today. And this morning I was talking to my friend, and she was like, she's my astrology friend.
Great.
I'll never be that person, so I rely on other people. And she's like, "What house is Pluto is no longer retrograde in Aquarius as of today. Cool. What house is Aquarius in for you?" And I looked it up, and it was so resonant. It was the so resonant, I can't remember what house it was. But I want to say it was fifth, but it's about art
Mm.
and movement, and astrologers don't at me because I'm probably getting this wrong, but all morning my brain is going to the fact that innately I know I am an artist,
Mhm.
and it's like I need to return home to that, whatever that looks like, and how I was like taking a shower before this and thinking about like I've made my creativity thus far fit into the confines of capitalism
Mhm.
because of survival, and I think I'm moving into a place where I need more outlets that aren't connected to that, like creation for the sake of it, because I think that is a deeply spiritual thing. And I think there's something important about you and the way you think and the way that you work that's connected to that. So that's the long answer to why I felt like it was a good time to talk to you. And I know there are other people listening who need to hear from you.
I love that you're letting me in on this moment where you're starting to feel like the artist in you. And artist is a really loaded term in art in within the sort of framework of capitalism in this day. Um, yeah, thanks for letting me in on that. What comes to my mind is that I'm reading this awesome Jungian named James Hollis. Um, and there's some, oh my God, I hope it's, I think that this is his words and his perspective. But I just read this morning something where he goes through this whole thing unpacking like work versus vocation, right? And well, I mean, I could say more, but this is also a book that's about midlife, what he calls the middle passage, right? So I'm way in that threshold and exploring what midlife is because it is heavy if you are looking in the mirror and you're looking at
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Um, but he talks all about work versus vocation, and vocation, of course, like the Latin root of that word is calling. So our vocation is our calling. This is what we're called to do. And he says something like, if your calling, if your vocation is as an artist, then what that means, if you're called to be an artist, then what that means is that you are simply called to create and recreate and nurture and tend the myth of your life, right? And to continue on that path and to do that over and over and stay with the myth of your own life. And when I read that, I was like, yes. I was like, I can call myself an artist officially now. Thanks, James Hollis. Because living in Santa Fe, and I don't know if you get this when you come to visit, but everybody's like, are you an artist? Right. And
that is true.
yeah, did people say that to you? I'm sure.
Or or like, are you here for some esoteric study? Well, yes, I am.
Yeah. Well, yes, I am. Um, yeah, I get, are you an artist? And it's so funny because it's like, well, what are you asking? Um, of course I am. Like, this is artistry. Being alive is artistry. And yeah, the way that I'm doing it, I do think is pretty creative. And it takes a lot of creativity. And it is handmade. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Hell yes. Well, all you guys have to do is take one glance at Lizzie's website to understand that she has a beautiful sense of balance and an eye for color at the very least.
Well, so you should know, though, that the paintings are by Nicole Graff, who is an extraordinary multidimensional artist from.
Yeah, I'm not saying you painted them, but the whole website in itself is a piece of art.
Thank you.
No offense.
No offense to the artist in you.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about dream work because that's a huge part of your work. I was listening to this podcast recently and there was a dream study dude. Sorry, I will not be able to name drop. And he was talking about evaluating dreams and then spinning it and saying, no, let's evaluate every single thing that happens in life as if it happened in a dream. And I almost pooped my pants because I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I kind of do look at everything like in relationship to the whole, like, oh, why did I sprain my ankle on this
Mhm.
specific trip? Like, why, that sort of thing. But that really tickled me to stop and be like, well, let's pretend because it's kind of true. by removing certain filters that like every single thing that happens, like what if I'm interviewing you in a dream, what does that represent?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot there.
Yes. I really like that perspective. There's like a million ways in, right? There's like a million windows and doors we can open to come into a relationship with our dreaming life.
Mm-hmm.
That one, great, totally resonates. I can see why it made you poop your pants. Because yeah, like, so I might encourage someone, the way that I would bring it is something like, every once in a while throughout your day, whatever you're doing, like right now, Suki, right? In this moment, you might just stop and take a breath into your body and be like, this is a dream, in the sense of, so if a dream is just a projection of our consciousness or our psyche into space, this too is just a projection of our consciousness or our psyche into space. So exactly, that's one way to work with it. You could do something like, you could get to your journal after this, right? And you could write in the first person present tense, what your experience was here with me, right? So as if it were a dream. So you might get that pen to the paper and write, so I'm recording this podcast and I'm talking with this woman that I met in Santa Fe, and we're talking about the artist in me or something. And just like, yeah, name one.
What does that mean? Why did that happen?
Right. And you might do the same with a dream. And sure, you could absolutely, I mean, really my framework for looking at dreaming is that we are all, every one of us, working with, the same tool set, archetypally speaking. We have these aspects of our being that we all share, and that are located inside of us and outside of us at all times. And so if this were a dream right now and not a waking projection, if this were a dream, you might look at, what your feminine counterpart here, me sitting here, what I represent to you, what some of my qualities are, how you interact with those qualities, how you feel about them,
Mm-hmm.
like that, to get a sense for that kind of, yeah, that's pretty abstract. It's a pretty abstract way of thinking, but I think that that's probably the helmet that you wear. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, it's cool. What first drew you into dream work?
oh, I mean, I think I've been like in a relationship with my dream world organically since I was a small child. I have been formally working with people with their dreams in my practice for the last decade, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And I've participated in a lot of teachings with a lot of incredible teachers, and studied a lot of ways in from around the world and perspectives that people carry on dreaming. But I think probably it was how strained my dream life was when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I had a recurring dream as a child that was kind of abstract and inhabited all different kinds of mundane and magical landscapes. But in essence, I was tasked to find like a needle in a haystack. I was tasked at finding the tiniest little glowing ember of something alive in a landscape that was just dense and filled with things to navigate. So this was my recurring childhood dream. And so I take this on as sort of like my myth, right? We talked a little bit about.
That could be your job description. That I mean, I feel like what you said about that dream represents what you do.
Mhm, perhaps.
So keep
Okay, so
going.
do you have a recurring dream from childhood that stands out?
Well, I had one that is not easy to explain, but it was somehow terrifying, and it was just fluctuating vertical lines. And
Mm,
I think it was kind of like I was going somewhere else. But it was reoccurring, and if I had a fever, I would definitely go there. And it was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was an experience, but it was terrifying.
mhm.
It wasn't nearly as in depth as yours, but that's it.
Well, but it also says everything, right? I mean, I don't know if it says everything for you. I really don't. But what I just heard is I am going somewhere else. And to my mind, that also pertains to the work that you do
Hmm.
in terms of having access to that other place.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, but dream work is just like infinite. There is no beginning, there is no end. I mean, for sure, the dream world, the dream space is like a place that we all inhabit all the time. I
Hmm.
think we're waking, that place lives, it's alive, it's there. And yeah, like it's as powerful to work with a dream that you had last night as it is to work with the dream that you had 25 years ago that you're still remembering and still carrying around with you.
Hmm. So, can people book a session with you that is specifically dream oriented?
Yeah.
Okay, so what does a dream session look like?
Um, well, I mean, a single dream session, great, absolutely fabulous. If somebody reaches out to me to work with dreams, I'm probably going to encourage but not require a series because we can get traction by about session 3. And yeah, there's a lot.
What is
But
traction to you?
starting to feel the effect of integrating an image or an understanding or a relationship that exists in that dream world that we're bringing out. So starting to see it taking root in topside world here. Um, but yeah, a dream work session might be like some framing, some getting to know each other, some sort of understanding, like how what your relationship is like currently with dreaming. Yeah, and then just going from there, working with a specific dream image, working with it's some folks come to me with I'm not dreaming or I'm not remembering my dreams. And in that case, we might start to court the dream space and sort of like gently, throw a pebble into that lake and be like, "Hello, hello, hello."
Mhm. Yeah. Well, yeah, it is wild how much intention in all of these practices can make a shift. For
Mhm.
example, I was reading this book called The Awake Dreamer,
Mm.
and by simply bringing this book into my life,
Mm. Mhm.
I amped up my dreams times a million, you know?
Yes.
And they weren't related to the book in any way, but the dreams that I was having while I was thinking about dreams on purpose were
Mhm.
just like
Mhm.
way cooler than normal.
Mhm. Yes. And I think that the dream world, that place is like that. It's just like I think it has its gaze kind of like sort of up towards our world and is like, "See me,
Yeah.
listen to me. Hey, come into dialogue with me."
Yeah, it's just waiting. So I keep
Mhm.
thinking about the fact that all human beings are aware of dreaming and it's a part of our daily normal dialogue,
Mhm.
and we take it for granted that it exists,
Mhm.
but it's rarely seen as a veil lifting or interdimensional travel, or it's just kind of commonly looked at as a symptom of brain activity while we're doing whatever it is sleep is.
Mhm. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I you're totally right, and it's like it's similar to like maybe perhaps some psychedelic experiences like we were speaking about earlier where it's like, oh, that's not real, right? Like that's some kind of like thing that is produced by an imagination that is untrustworthy because that imagination is not my rational thinking mind, which is the thing that the culture values, right? But
So
I'm
annoying.
just I'm just kind of like I'm almost like, great, you're either in relationship with your dream life as though it is something that is as real and if not more than this reality or not, And but I don't know, maybe that's kind of a cold way to respond to that, but it's like
We don't have time to convince people.
we don't have time to convince.
It's fine.
Mm-mm. But I also think that I also think that in a way, learning from dreams and relating to dreams is maybe way less esoteric than many people believe. And this is why I myself and many others say write your dreams down, right? Just write down your dreams, because then that is the simplest act of translating something that comes from your rich inner world and from your interior and from that other place, and moving that energy from the what we could say the mind, which gives it some kind of structure, through the body, through the arm, into the hand, into the writing utensil, and onto paper, and then it becomes something that is alive and living here, that we can then be in dialogue with. So even writing down a dream and then just walking away is going to, it creates that relationship in some way.
I got to figure out where to stop this podcast, but I did want to talk about what I knew before we started recording, while I was reading your website, that this was going to be kind of like a meandering walk through a
Mhm.
forest.
Yeah.
Like the way that your work touches on so many different things, and I'm interested in all of them, but so here we are. So can you talk about what a true mirror session is?
Mm-hmm.
Seems scary.
Sure. Yeah. Seems scary. And that's probably a very natural and healthy reaction or response to that. In fact, like in on from the level of the psyche, it shows the health of the psyche, that you would be like, afraid to look at myself or to compel some kind of change, right, in the way that I see myself. It is an optical device called the True Mirror. You can look it up. You can look at their website. It's fantastic. And it's basically a non-reversing mirror. So we are used to, and our brains are definitely used to, looking at ourselves in a regular mirror, which is a reversing mirror. So as I understand it, and I'm like not a neurologist or something, but like when we're looking in the mirror, our brain has to do something to translate that image. And we're very habituated in that way, right? Like when I'm fixing my hair in the mirror, right? It's like doing it on I'm aware of where I'm touching myself, right?
Yeah.
But it's the worst image.
Yeah.
Um, and so a non-reversed image of ourselves is like what we see, right? So when you and I are sitting on like a bench and looking at each other and talking, I'm gazing at a non-reversing image of you. I'm seeing your face and you me. So when we gaze into the true mirror, we see that, right? We see our face the way that others are looking at it. And there's something that happens. There's like some form of greater connectivity. And oftentimes, what I'm noticing with people in doing the true mirror sessions is that oftentimes at first, there's a period, whether it's like shorter or longer, there's a period where it's like just kind of adjusting to looking at one's face like that. It's not like a very different image, but it moves differently, it emotes differently, its angles are a little bit different. And so we're looking at ourself. And so first what happens is like a little bit of confronting things that I don't like or that I'm not familiar with, things that I don't like because I'm not familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so this is why it's nice to have a guide, right? Because then I just do like a little bit of gentle inquiry, like kind of, one step to the next. We're not going to get stuck there. We're going to kind of keep looking. We're going to look a little bit deeper. We're going to look a little bit deeper. We're going to connect with our own eyes. We're going to look a little bit deeper. And all kinds of things happen. Um, Everything from like it feeling sort of oracular, like if I invite someone sometimes I'll coach somebody or guide somebody and help them to like bring their energy around a particular question and then ask that question. And it's so cool, like looking in the true mirror, the face, like your own eyes, like offer the response to that question instantly, which is really cool. You're like, "Ooh, I want to ask it a question." It's like we see what we know already
Yeah.
somehow. And then it's just a great practice, I think, for like coming into, I mean, lots of things. I don't know. Anything can come up in when we're gazing into that mirror. Anything can come up. Like the last session I did with myself, right? Just sitting at my kitchen table and sitting down, breathing, gazing into the true mirror. I saw this cool thing about the masculinity and the femininity in my face. And I explored that and I saw almost like in a tarot deck or on playing cards, like the more masculine side of my face, the more feminine side of my face, the way that it is both masculine and feminine. And then it kind of like faded into this very cool me that was neither and both. So I had kind of so that for me, I go a little bit trippy dippy esoteric into it with myself, but yeah, it's cool. It reveals a lot.
Yeah. What is lineage tending?
That's just a small question for our last couple minutes.
Make it snappy.
Make it snappy, lady. Tell me how we tend these lineages. Uh, I learn a lot by connecting psychically with my ancestors and just sort of reaching out to them and listening and learning to listen and finding different like sort of environments or objects in my life that transmit a little bit more of them. um, I think I've learned to have a little bit more compassion for myself by listening to them and finding out maybe what some of their struggles have been like. And so I've done some of that work in like here in the practical world, like, my whole family tree, and some of the documents that exist and some of the pictures that exist and some of the stories that exist. We have such a variation, I think, in our world and our culture, amongst with how much we have connection to our lineages,
Hmm.
our biological lineages, and how much we don't. And there are lots of reasons why we have severed relationships with our lineages. Yeah, it's another way of reaching down and back, another way of reaching into the parts of who we are that are not necessarily visible just sitting here looking at you and me.
Hmm.
So sometimes there is even a single ancestor or a single story or a single place in our lineage that can be that we can come into relationship in a similar way that we've been talking all along about, like a dream image, something that we can come and then like bring forth and nurture and tend to and be like, what is it that what part of the cloth that I am is this or something.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, it you have clearly cultivated a beautiful practice, and I'm excited for people to meet you. And
Hmm.
I read that on your website you can book a free 20-minute call so that you can meet Lizzie and assess where you are in your life and what you are desiring to transform.
Mhm. Indeed.
Affirmative.
I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. I love, yeah, a little intro is necessary. It's nice to just hear each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have clients that are like that you sort of consistently counsel for?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What does your 20-minute consultation look like?
20-minute consultation looks like me landing with that person and being in that place where I am just listening,
Hmm.
but with my whole being. You talk about this a lot with your energy work,
Hmm.
right? It's
Yeah.
like it's sort of like actually leaning all the way out
Yeah.
or back, not leaning out, leaning back.
Yeah.
Um, So it's that form of presence. And then I'm just going to say, hey, we've got 20 minutes. Mostly I want to hear from you. I want to hear what's moving in you, what compelled you to reach out to me.
Mhm.
I can answer any questions, that you have about the way that I work and what my practice is like, but really I just want to hear from you. And then I know that I'm getting like the tiniest glimpse. I'm like seeing through a keyhole or seeing the very tip of the iceberg. And I remind myself that that person is so much more than what they described to me in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I hold it, just get to hold that person like that and encourage them to sleep on it and feel it out, and then get back to me if it feels like a yeah.
Yeah. So cool. When you were talking about that just now, it made me feel the deep gratitude that I experience while I am practicing
Mm,
um, energy work on people. Like, I'm like, holy shit, thank you. Do I
mm,
get, how did I get so fortunate that
mm,
I can be in the orbit of your body
mm.
and you opened up to me? And it's just like the things I get to see, and, it's like
Oh,
so fucking
yeah,
beautiful.
it is such an honor.
Yeah.
It is such an honor to hold somebody's process, whether that be a verbal process or a somatic process or an energy process or a spiritual process, even for 50 minutes
Yeah.
or so. It is such an honor and a
Yeah.
responsibility. Yeah.
Huge responsibility. That's cool. Well, I think we should leave it at that. And I'm so grateful to you for coming to talk to me.
I'm so grateful to you for for doing what I don't, for like having a podcast. It's so cool, and talking to people, and like, I mean, I know you do a million things, but for having the call to do this and then doing it.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thanks. You're cool.
You're cool. Call me sometime.
It's not a competition. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as we did. Be sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss a new episode. If you liked today's episode, please consider leaving a review to help the other psychics find their way here.